So I'm going to talk about a slightly different take on working faster, smarter together. It's some of the themes that you heard from Will, some of that you heard from the panel from like Rob Ash, and it's really taking a different strategy to get the business to work better together. So I'm going to be focusing on breaking down organizational silos, but we've been focused in the IT space. I'm going to be taking that a level up and really focused across the organization and how it's helped us at Accenture better deliver services to all of our employees. So I'm going to talk a little about the service landscape, what our service transformation journey looks like, and how technology is really helping to enable that. So again, a little bit about me. I'm part of Accenture's infrastructure consulting practice. In my current role, I'm doing enterprise strategy, and I'm responsible for service delivery for our enterprise service transformation for Accenture as a client. So coming to you from the client perspective, because although we advise our clients on how to better operate their businesses and be the disruptors versus the disruptees, we have some of the same challenges as well. We do eat a lot of our own cooking, so I am from our consulting practice advising Accenture on how to transform. So on top of that, I also do IT strategy and cloud strategy at a number of our other clients. And to add to what David said earlier, I did not grow up with dolls, so I guess this is what happened. So if you're not familiar with Accenture, I talked to quite a bit of you. Seems like we have a pretty high penetration across the client base here. But we are a professional services organization. We serve clients in over 120 countries and 40 industries and all business functions. So we primarily focus on strategy, consulting, digital technology, and outsourcing services. But we are a huge technology company. We've done a number of acquisitions. We develop software for businesses that are business specific. We continue to drive to differentiate ourselves in the market. It is a competitive landscape. So we want to make sure that we better ourselves internally to better deliver and remain competitive, and making sure we have the right people in order to do that. All right, so we're really going to talk about our employee-centered strategy. So we believe that the employee experience is really important. As we've heard in Will's case, that could mean a life. In our case, it really means productivity. And our organization is so large and so siloed that we've just become really unwieldy, and our people have some challenges with getting services and really doing their work. So our service transformation is really focused on improving that. Okay, so this is a view of our services landscape. So again, our service transformation is really focused around service management, service delivery across the enterprise, not just from an IT perspective. And so today we have over 400,000 employees. And within our service transformation efforts, we have about 14,000 people that are providing services across 6 corporate functions. So we're focused on IT and operations, but also finance, legal, HR, and marketing. So we're providing support for over 10,000 applications and services. And in order to do that, we've built a strong ecosystem of platforms and enabling capabilities, leveraging platforms that we already have in-house and bringing in some new ones like ServiceNow to help orchestrate workflow across all those different systems. So why did we need to change? So I talked about our evolving business model. We're changing how we deliver services and what we're trying to do to remain competitive. There's higher customer expectations in terms of demands for solutions. We have a different workforce that's growing up within our organization. Most of them are younger, millennials. They work differently. They expect IT to be consumerized, which leads to the consumerization of IT. You know, how they get services from consumers, they want that same type of service at work. If you got the same service that we are delivering at work today in the consumer world, you would change providers. From a corporate perspective, you're not able to do that. So we want to try to mirror that internally within our organization. And what that means at the end of the day is real business value for us. Our people are more productive, they have a better experience, they'll work for us longer, et cetera. All right, so once we figured that we had to change, we set up some strategic goals. And they were the top 2 were really focused around experience and service design. So going away from these multiple silos that we have today for finance, for HR, for other business functions that are completely independent, separate IT, to try to consolidate and rationalize that into a unified experience. Building more end-to-end services from a service design perspective so that if you need something from IT, like in my case, I requested a piece of software, IT closes my ticket, I don't support it, go to procurement. And being a younger person in the organization at that time, had no idea where to find procurement. So we're trying to bridge that gap. We often talk about digital and how people work today has changed. People are fully working now from their mobile devices, so any of the capabilities that we offer, we want to make sure that they're accessible anywhere, anytime. I talked about the 40 platforms that we have. So from a consolidation perspective, trying to centralize everything onto a central platform has really helped with the rationalization effort, because now we're starting to be able to see how many tools we actually have in our ecosystem that do event management, for example. We have 12. We have 6 CNDB tools, the some of which not everybody is aware of. So using the experience strategy that I'll talk about really helps draw out all the disparities within our organization. And once we're able to consolidate and rationalize all those tools, we're going to better be able to scale the offerings and the services that we provide throughout the entire organization. So I talked about 40 tools exist now today across 6 different functions. As we bring in more organizations, they just have more and more tools. So we're, through this effort, really making a push for consolidation. So in terms of that visually, I talked about the disparate structure within our organization, how it's completely siloed. It really is a maze to figure out how to get from one end of the organization to another. We want to evolve that to an end-to-end experience. So whether I need HR services, I need finance services, I can go to a single destination. They're connected, they're human. We often talk about the human aspects. That's how we want services to be delivered today. If you go to your bank and you had to go to 6 different places to get something from a consumer perspective, that would be unacceptable. So in the workplace, we see that as well. All right, so where do we start? So in order to do that, we first figure out what are all the services within our organization, so we identify them, and then we consolidate them into a centralized portal, which we call Accenture Support. And that doesn't necessarily mean we re-platform everything. It could be hyperlinks, but at least it's a starting point of a central place where I can go for any type of service. Once we know that, we're better able to model those dependencies across those services and create that more end-to-end service view. And then as we move forward, we can take advantage of automation, figure out better ways to present and orchestrate those services in a more intuitive way. So this is really a visualization of that. So starting off with the multiple disparate tools, which varied by organizational silo, varied by geography, to a centralized portal for all corporate services. And we continue to evolve that now, where our current portal includes themes such as discovery, collaboration, a personalization aspect, and our branding. Okay, so we talk about tools often, and our goal is to connect these functions across the enterprise. But all these enterprises have a lot of tools. Some of them manage key core business functions, so we definitely don't want to take those away. They're best-in-breed solutions, so we figure out how we can continue to leverage those. We do have an advantage from using a service management tool such as ServiceNow or Sherwell or BMC to help drive that, because from an SAP perspective, for example, the license cost is a lot cheaper if you initiate the service through ServiceNow versus directly in SAP. So we're able to help the business understand where we can leverage some of these tools and connect these different processes across the business. For example, from an HR perspective, we still want to use SuccessFactors as a system of record. So we use ServiceNow to kind of drive the workflow. The end result of that goes into SuccessFactors, but we can also tie in finance from an SAP perspective and some of our other custom tools from a learning perspective and others where there is a relevant task for onboarding somebody onto the organization. So today we're taking a borderless technical integration approach, as I call it, but again, the end goal there is to really rationalize keeping some key business applications intact. So as we went out to other organizations with this experience vision, and again, the vision is single one-stop shop, integrated solutions and processes. We were IT trying to drive this from an IT perspective, trying to lead the business, and so that was a challenge for us. But there was pushback in terms of the visualization. So we talk about the experience that we want to deliver. They expect it to look great. So we really had to focus on how can we deliver that consumer-like experience from a UI perspective. So luckily, with Platform as a Service, with us leveraging the full ServiceNow suite of Platform as a Service, you can essentially build custom UIs using some common frameworks such as AngularJS in order to build a custom front end. So we went down that path. We realized we needed additional skills when we were talking about a more customized experience. And so we brought in some additional skills to help deliver that. And in terms of what that was, your typical service transformation type of experience, you have these roles here: business analysts, platform administrators, testers, deployment specialists, et cetera. So we brought in user experience experts and front-end developers as well. And the value that we've seen from that is us as IT people, we like to think we do everything great, and for the most part we do, but user experience may not be something we're well versed in. And bringing in those skills, we really saw the difference, where they're really thinking outside the frameworks that you're kind of designing in, whether that's a service management process or some other request process. They really build in the needs of those that are using the systems and those that are fulfilling the requests as well. And they think about things like accessibility, field placements, all things we normally may not be well versed at, and they kind of have that understanding. I mentioned we have a large, diverse workforce, and so accessibility is key for us. And at the end of the day, you're going to get better designs that are intuitive, that are going to require little or no training. My last deployment that we did, we just released 3-minute videos. This is where we consolidated 7 service management tools into one. Those 3-minute videos were enough to get everybody up to speed. Where in previous days we would do full-on classroom training on the process and the tool. Like, those days are gone, at least for us. All right, so from a customized experience perspective, what have we done? So I talked about custom portals, that we've done that. We have consistent asks for better forms, better ways to collect data for more complex processes. The standard service management tools will offer the standard long form out of box. We're able to build a more intuitive way to collect information and not make it seem so cumbersome, customizing a form on ServiceNow. And we're also exploring the use of responsive apps, trying to bring together a bunch of different tools into a more collaborative interface through the ServiceNow platform. And we're able to do this a lot faster than we ever have before, create more modern interfaces, things that are dynamic, and making use of a microservices architecture so that we can reuse some of those components. All right, so where does that take us? What's next? So every year Accenture releases a technology vision. That's really how they see technology changing organizations within that year. We've talked a lot about AI and machine learning in this session, so we're looking at that as well. And from a service delivery perspective, where things like machine learning and IoT are really going to take us, how devices can start to self-report, self-resolve, how we can make use of bots across the enterprise and not have a siloed approach for that as well. We talk about platforms. Platforms and tools are going to continue to exist. So how can we more easily connect them across the enterprise? Because today it is a lot of work to figure out the different integration points, how we can maximize use of those platforms, limit data duplication. So we're really focusing on that from a service delivery perspective. The workforce and experience are important. So from a workforce marketplace perspective, how do we continue to make our employees productive? What new services can we offer? And continuing to design for humans, and always including the human aspect and the right resources to help bring all those considerations to mind. And then there's always the uncharted, right? We really don't know what's next, what's coming, but start always thinking about that in the context of what you're building today. So this employee-focused strategy, again, has really helped us get to the rationalization and consolidation of tools within our ecosystem, and thinking about it from the end user's perspective versus from a process or from a solution perspective. With IT really trying to lead the business, we weren't able to do that, just really focused on the process only. And nobody wants to ruin that experience for everyone. So when we have that discussions about other platforms, platforms like ServiceNow are light years ahead in terms of automation and integration for service delivery. So it makes it an easier discussion that we can win and leverage a platform we're currently using today to help drive that across most of the organization. So the key takeaways I would say is, incorporate that customer perspective into your design. Think about those other skills that you can leverage, whether they're skills within your organization, your user experience experts, front-end developers to give you the customized experience that will work specifically for your organization. We talk about one size doesn't fit all. And then, the options in terms of that ecosystem, so whether it's xMatters or other tools within the ecosystem that can help deliver your experience, there is no one right answer, so figure out what works for you. That's my story. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen. So any questions for Karen on the talk? brave souls. Can you say more? Okay. Can you say more about how the Accenture concept of the fluid workforce fits in with the whole xMatters type of networking, and in addition to with what the panel was just talking about before with the tool chain?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
The fluid workforce,
Liquid
working
workforce.
together with the xMatters technology, and dealing with the DevOps tool chain type of issues that the panel was just talking about before.
So we're using xMatters today in a pretty limited capacity, but part of this transformation is figuring out how we can better use it in terms of understanding how are people working today and giving them something to react to. Because today in our world, we do mostly expect people to be proactive. So solutions like xMatters is helping us allow people to be more reactive and again, operate in the way that they would outside of the confines of work. From a DevOps toolchain perspective, we're not there yet. We're still figuring that out. We scrum fall is what I say, because we're just so big, so interconnected that we have to understand the full scope of everything before we figure out what that means in the future world. So we're continuing to evolve in that capacity.
How did you get the business and people who write the checks to understand the value of those user-facing things like a UX designer? It's one of the challenges we see is they can't see a bottom line of how paying for that additional person is going to really help the business. How did you overcome that?
Yeah, so we went to the C-suite. So our CIO calls himself the Chief Experience Officer, because we were able to demonstrate the value and the productivity that people are going to have if we can connect these processes. So once we were able to convince the C-suite, everybody else just fell in line.
You're doing just-in-time training across the board for all your applications, and have you been seeing that to be universally embraced?
Sorry, you said Justin?
Like you had mentioned the 3-minute training videos.
Yes.
We would call that just-in-time, so somebody can go get the answer. Are you using that everywhere, or are you targeting a subset of your
So I think it
efforts?
started with us. The argument we made was when Facebook and LinkedIn release something new, do they get the whole world to go train, on what that is? No. So from an organizational perspective, we should be able to do the same. And it's been adopted for a majority of our organization. Finance is still a little behind, but most of the organizations have adopted that approach.
Any other questions?